Dear Asian people, please stop being so racist and anti-black all the time. When we seek white acceptance, we're being anti-black. They're sitting this one out. They're eating popcorn and watching us because they're tired of helping us. Black people have been saying this shit for years. Everyone, including Asian people, have been appropriating black culture far longer and more insidiously than any other group. How are we going to expect black people to be in solidarity with us when we're still so anti-black and crave proximity to whiteness? Asians are where we are today because black and indigenous people fought for our civil rights, yet y'all still want to sit at the white people's table. Asians are still doing shit like feeding into the model minority myth, and a lot of y'all are still obsessed with chasing after wealth or prestige using the same systems that have exploited black people for generations. And just because you went to a good school, landed a corporate job, or assimilated into white culture doesn't mean you can become politically apathetic and throw under the bus all the black activists and organizers who have fought tirelessly so you can enjoy the rights that you have today. Asians, please stop being so complicit in white supremacy. It's embarrassing. If we want to advance Asian American rights, we have to fight against white supremacy alongside black and brown people.
If I'm going to call myself an ally, I can't just be making a Facebook post. I can't just make a TikTok. I have to show up. I have to show up and I have to learn and I have to listen. I have to make sure that I understand why and what is going on in the black community so I can go back to my community and make sure that we are actually true allies there too. So we can come back and come to the table and come to the protest and come to these meetings so we can work together to eradicate discrimination, eradicate systematic oppression, and eradicate racism. Because for too long, we have been divided and for too long, we have been working against each other. But now we need to come together and work as one.
Do you want to know why there's a hate between Asian people and black people? Let me tell you, there's no hate. Asian people love black people. Do you want to know why Asian Americans just want to be black all the time? They just want to be cool because we have no representation in the media. All we got is white people and then black comedy. That's all we got. We got Bruce Lee from the 70s. That's all we got. When we find some cartoons that people like, it's like Dragon Ball Z. Well, this is awesome. Wait, the ultimate form is blonde hair and blue eyes? You know what I mean? So where's the love? Because the love is here. Asian people love black people. So don't ever forget that.
Alright, let me just stop this video for a second. What we saw in the first minute is already very strong. These Asian American creators are being open about a lot of things that many people don't talk about. They are calling out problems in their own community and they are also showing honest respect toward black people. I am not a black American, so I'm not here to speak for anybody. But I wanted to speak about this because it's rare to see people from another community speaking about their own mistakes and also show appreciation at the same time. Let's continue watching the rest of the video and after that I will share my own thoughts about this. Not to repeat what they said, but to add something extra that can help all of us to understand this situation better. Let's get into the video.
I want to take a moment to give flowers to black people. Let's make it weird for a second. How the you take 400 years of oppression, suffering, violence, thievery, brutality, dehumanization, and make that shit so dope the world wants to consume it. The world wants to wear it. The world wants your stamp of approval that they deserve to take up space in trauma conversation. The amount of people around the world that I've met that want the past to say the N-word is hilarious. If they knew any conception as to how bad life still is in the projects, life still is on the other side of the red line tax bracket zone, that this country still perpetuates its culture to be superior upon your body through, and yet you make it look so good. People didn't even know you were hurting. I want to take a moment to really just give black people flowers, man, because this world owes everything that it is to the struggles that your people have gone through and brought into this language, because the slave traders, the thieves, the slave masters stole yours. You were freaking brilliant. There's genius in your melanin that the world is still scared to let you know exists. So I want to take a moment to just give black people your flowers, because I know that my people don't know how to, but if they're anything like me when I was a kid, they want to. And they know that they should. So from my Chinese evil ancestors to black supremacy greatness, stay black forever, stay dangerous. Thank you for giving a dragon like me a place.
I wish that black and Asian people could just admit that we love each other's cultures. We're obsessed with each other. We're obsessed with one another's brilliance, resilience, perseverance, strength, intelligence, ability to make everything so complex and so simple at the same time simultaneously, and that we love one another's foods, one another's cultures, one another's appearance, personalities, spirits in this way so deeply that the only time that we really start to hurt each other or try to hurt each other is when we are stressed under the forces of white supremacy, imperialism, or colonization, you know, and we start to hurt each other because we feel that we hate ourselves and we have to kill ourselves, when truly deep down we are constantly being inspired and internalizing just the brilliance of one another. And I just want you to know that I see you and I love you and I appreciate you for being here, because we will remember this eventually. It's only a matter of time.
No, you know what's actually stupid? The fact that y'all thoroughly believe that racism only exists in the form of enslavement. I don't care if you've never owned a slave. I don't care if your family's never owned a slave. I don't care if your family had nothing to do with the transatlantic slave trade. If you don't want to talk about the past, let's talk about right now. Because what I'm discussing is the fact that all white people benefit from Black and Indigenous struggle. Black and Indigenous oppression is the backbone of our country. All white people benefit from it. I just mentioned mass incarceration, so let's talk about redlining, gentrification, white flight, voter suppression. The list goes on and on, but you know what they all have in common? The fact that they disproportionately affect Black and brown people. Your failure to recognize that makes you a racist. Not being racist and being anti-racist are two completely different things. Not being a slave owner and not saying slurs and not being a fucking racist doesn't make you some type of saint.
There has never been Asian and Black solidarity during protests. What are you talking about? Okay, then give me one example of Black people showing solidarity to Asian people. Easy, there's so many examples. Let's take riots in Harlem in 1943. Okay, tell me. Alright. So there were riots that occurred in Harlem, and they were set off when the police officer shot an African American soldier because he was trying to intervene when police was trying to arrest an African American woman. What was she arrested for? Disturbing peace. What? During that year, there were multiple riots across the country and the government was trying to suppress them, as usual. New York City was already suffering from the increasing cost because of the war, and Harlem, which was predominantly Black, was hit especially hard. People were faced with a lot of discrimination and the police was harassing them a lot. Okay, so what happened during the Harlem riots? After the soldier was shot and wounded, the soldier died. As you can imagine, people were very upset. That sounds familiar. Of course, people went to protest, and some of the rioters were looting the stores and smashing the windows and battling the police. And one of the men that was part of the riots went by the name of Malcolm Little. Malcolm Little? Yes, we know him today by the name of Malcolm X. So in his biography, he noted that a lot of the Black store owners put signs on their stores to identify themselves, and most of their stores were left untouched. So all other stores were primary targets then? Malcolm X remembers that there was one Chinese store that was left untouched by the rioters as well. He said that when they saw his store, they were laughing so hard, and then they moved on and didn't lay a hand on it. Really? Why? That is because the Chinese store owner hastily left a sign on his front door that said, "Me colored too."
Ever wonder about the deep connection between Black and Asian communities? It's a story of both unity and unique tensions. Back in the day, Asian activists stood with Black leaders during the Civil Rights Movement, and when Asian communities faced backlash during the Vietnam War and during restrictions on immigration, Black leaders came to stand by them. And that long history of solidarity against oppression and structural racism has evolved into connections through entertainment and culture. Now we have people like Megan Thee Stallion repping anime, Wu-Tang Clan showing influences by kung fu flicks, and streetwear and hip-hop fashion trends popping up everywhere in Asia. And yes, there's been conflict, prejudice, and tensions amongst the communities, but there are beautiful sides that show our cultures have stood closer together than apart. Hopefully these connections become better connected than they are broken. If you enjoy culture content, make sure you hit that follow button.
When Malcolm X had his life taken away from him, one of the first people by his side was a Japanese woman. Her name was Yuri Kochiyama. She's not someone that's really talked about in the civil rights movement, but her story is worth noting. She was born in San Pedro, California, but her life took a huge turn after Pearl Harbor. Her family was put in an internment camp. After World War II, Yuri moved to Harlem and she immersed herself fully in civil rights activism. This is where she crossed paths with Malcolm X. This is also where she developed a deep commitment for global liberation. When Malcolm X had his life taken away, she was there in a famous photo that I can't show here, cradling his head. And she continued to be an activist throughout her life, standing up for political prisoners and the Black Panthers. And she was one of the activists, along with Puerto Rican nationalists, that took over the Statue of Liberty and did this: put the Puerto Rican flag over the brow of the Statue of Liberty. And in 2005, she was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Although she passed away in 2014, her legacy lives on as a symbol of cross-racial solidarity.
Asians basically came in this country very poor or very wealthy. The very wealthy is where the model minority stereotype came from. But the very poor is where you get wartime allies of the US who are displaced from their countries. They made agreements with these groups that fought on the side of the US in these conflicts in Southeast Asia. It wasn't like America was thrilled to have Vietnamese or Koreans or Hmong or Lao. In 2008, 2009, the Obama administration actually started deporting members of these communities back to their home countries that they'd agreed to give clemency and give U.S. citizenship and residency to.
So just straight up went back on their word.
Straight up went back on their word. And this is still happening right now. A lot of Southeast Asian communities, Hmong, Khmer, Lao, Vietnamese, they see a lot of deportation.
Now this man asks a very interesting question. He says, why is she black? Referring to my mom in a previous Thanksgiving video. And to be fair, I thought it was a very silly question because I thought, well, she was born black, so why would he ask why is she black? But then I realized he may be asking why she's black and I am not, or I don't look black. But if you can believe it, I am a black man ethnically and culturally, half that is. So she's African American. I think most people don't know that African Americans are a mix of a lot of different African tribes, including about 80 or 85% of them are comprised of that. And then about 15 to 20% of African Americans are a mix of like Irish and Welsh because of slave trade, obviously. So most African American people are caramel brownish. They're not really like Nigerians or people who are born obviously in Africa who are a lot more, darker on the spectrum or whatever you want to call it, or that tone. And then my father is full white. He is of Slavic descent. He's been in this country, or his family's been in this country for about 3 generations. They're descended from like the whole Russia, Ukraine, Slovakia, Slovenia area. So I'm about 65% white and about 35% black. But I was raised by my mother, so it's weird being ethnically and culturally a black man, but looking somewhat Asian with a perm. So I always get this question very often, what are you? And maybe this gives you some clarity, but yeah, she is black, I am black. It's weird to say that I am a black man. Looking like, I realize that that's really silly, but it is the truth and it is very strange and it's a weird existence, but it is my existence, so maybe that gives you.
Part of the reason why so many Asian kids growing up want to be white is because their parents, comparatively, sucked to the white ones. Like, when I was growing up, they did not let me have a social life. They stifled that shit as hard as they could. Like, they had so many issues with me going out to hang out with my friends to the point where it was really hard to do anything outside of school. And it was frustrating because all my white friends, they could just go dilly-dally with each other all day and still get good grades. Oh my God, and God forbid I get an A-. God forbid I get a B+. Otherwise, I'm getting a chew down from them. But no, compared to some of these white guys, yeah, it sucks, but they'll get along fine. They just need a B+. Doesn't matter. It's okay, son. I'm proud of you. That's okay. Yeah, I didn't get that. Yeah, I didn't get that. And guess what? A lot of my other Asian friends, they didn't get that either. Oh, and I'm a man, too. You want to talk about the Asian girls in these families? Well, let me tell you about it. My sister couldn't do shit. Hell, in fact, she still can't really do shit. I'm in a video talking about this. But essentially, they got mad. They're going to kick her out because she decided to hang out with her boyfriend until 12 p.m. That's it. And that's basically the gist of our entire lives. But no, one of my white homegirls, yeah, her parents, they just let her hang out with her boyfriend all the time. And guess what? They have a great relationship. Guess what? She's perfectly fine. Guess what? She has good grades at school, and she's going to get a nice career afterwards. But no, apparently it's just different for my sister. Okay, I know that's not every white person, and I know not every Asian person like myself experienced what I did. I know this. But it doesn't matter, because that's what I experienced. And what I experienced is wanting to be white. Because on their side, on the grass is greener, sure. But it looked so much better than this. And that's the problem a lot of these young Asian kids go through, especially in these predominantly white places. It just looks so much better compared to their lives. So yeah, of course they wish they were white. You can blame everything. Oh, look, culture is part of the bullying too. But let's not forget, the household matters too, okay? The parents matter too. And let me tell you, it's not going to change anytime soon because people suck, okay? And to the Asians with actual good immigrant parents, I'm so jealous of you. Cherish them with all your heart because I wish I had what you had.
White people weren't the first to create slavery, and you have the IQ of my neighbor's dog. Slavery in America was really fucking bad. The Koreans! What? The Koreans! What about the Koreans? The Koreans did it longer than us. Okay, so it sounds like you understand that slavery in Korea was bad, which also means that you agree slavery in America was also fucking egregious, right? Well, the Japanese. Oh, come on, man. What about the Japanese? The Japanese did worse stuff to the Chinese, and y'all never talk about that. First of all, comparing tragedies is just not okay. Second, what the fuck does this have to do with slavery in America? Oh, fine, you want to talk about America? Let's talk about America. Only 1.5% of Americans have slaves back then. You know how expensive a slave was? And the majority of those people were Jews. The Jews control everything. You obviously got that from the Crackers book, so it's not true at all. Even if it is true, that's still really fucked up. You know that, right? The Arabs did it first. Do you see how stupid you sound? Do you see how you just got that Arkansas type of ignorant? Every day I go online, I just keep finding more shit to add on to the Crackers book. By the way, before I leave, this narrative doesn't even fucking work. Because let's just say this is true. Let's just say Jewish people do really control everything. For example, these 4 people here, all of them big names in Hollywood, all of them of Jewish descent. Guess what they all have in common though? They're all fucking white passing, you dickhead. They are benefiting off this system because they are white passing, not because they're Jewish descent. You know how I know this? Because there were no outrage whatsoever when Scarlett Johansson got cast as Black Widow. If you crackers really cared about Jewish people controlling everything, you would have been on Twitter with your Twitter fingers saying, oh, she's not a Russian. But no, she look white, act white, sound white, so you don't give a fuck.
Dear Asians, I want to talk to you. Let's talk about colorism and white worship. The reason we see the rise of passport bros in recent years is because, well, I'm a traditional woman who will fulfill all my desires. And I like to be worshipped. 'Cause I'm white! Yes, there's colorism in Asia and people don't talk about it as often because they are programmed subconsciously. That white means higher class, high status, because in the past, well, Asians, the royalties, they stay out of the sun while the peasants work in the fields. So yes, white is seen as a status. A trophy. And if you have dark skin, I have bad news for you. Because freaking colorism exists and it has to end. Due to colonialism, plus that historical cultural aspect of Asian, stay of the sun, and economical disparity, they are taking advantage of colorism, vulnerable women who are, suffering from poverty, wanting a way out and wanting to snatch a white trophy husband. And then the white guy will be like, they want my money only. Yeah. And you want them to be your little subservient lotus blossom. Do you actually care about their well-being? Do you care about their personality or them as a human being? Shrek's on demand. Look at me. I'm the last samurai, white edition. Who created the racial hierarchy and why are Asians still believing in this shit? To justify colonialism, racial inequalities, systemic racism, to put certain people on top. That is why I challenge your pre-existing beliefs. Asian brothers and sisters, love yourself. Love your tan skin. I love humanity. And that is why I speak out. There is no superiority based on race categories. And it was invented by eugenic white supremacists, so why are you still buying into that? I love you Asian and brothers and sisters, and this programmed self-hate needs to end. You don't need to be white to be beautiful. We are all just wheats in different colours, and we are humanity. But they want to divide us. Divide and conquer, that's their tactics. And I see through it, and now I'm like, and oppression. And subconscious beliefs, because oppression happens when people believe in it. It becomes their reality. And the shit. Stop worshipping white skin. White people are just human beings like us. Are you going to really buy into Nazis' racial theories? Please. And you are enough and lovable by being.
Love your skin. While we're on that topic, right? Like, I'm speaking to black people. So when you see Asian people in your comment sections and they're like, yeah, that part of the Asian community are the ones who are anti-black. My community is not like that at all. They're fucking lying to you. Okay? There's anti-blackness in the East Asian community, the Southeast Asian community, the Central Asian community, the West Asian community, the North Asian community, and the South Asian communities, okay? And the people who are pointing fingers at the other people are the type of people who refuse to acknowledge it and unpack it within themselves. Like, they don't know how to look within themselves and be like, look, it's our entire community, not just like that part of the community. And it's really annoying, it's really annoying. So if you guys want more tea, let me know.
Alright, now that we watched everything, let me talk to you in the most honest and simple way that I can. I think this video shows something that most people don't notice about Asian and Black American communities in America. There is a lot of hidden connection, a lot of silent admiration, and at the same time, a lot of old heart that nobody ever slows down to talk about properly. What I see here is that these Asian American creators are not trying to be perfect. They are not pretending that their communities have no problems. They are not acting like victims. They are actually doing the complete opposite. They are talking about responsibility. That alone is something that many people never do. And as someone who is not a Black or Asian American, I can tell you this. When a community starts speaking honestly about its own flaws, that means they finally want to grow. And a lot of Asians in this video are basically saying, we need to fix ourselves. We need to stop pretending that everything is fine. And for my Black American viewers, I know many of you have waited a long time for this level of honesty. One thing that really stood out to me is how they talked about influence. Not copying, influence. And there is a difference. They are saying Black culture shaped many parts of their lives. Music, style, confidence, and even how they see the world. But here is the most important part. They are not trying to take credit. They are giving credit back. This is important because most time people enjoy Black culture but don't respect Black people. But these creators are saying, we know where it comes from. We know who made it, and we are not pretending that we invented anything. Another thing that I noticed is that many of them talked about the fear that comes with growing up in America when you don't feel accepted, when you don't see yourself on a TV, when your parents want you to act in a certain way, when you don't know where you belong. This fear pushes some Asian Americans toward whiteness, but it also makes some of them watch Black culture from distance and wish they had the same confidence, the same freedom, the same sense of identity. And what I find valuable about this video is that finally they're speaking it out loud. They are saying, we looked at you because we didn't know how to look at ourselves. That is not excuse, it is simply the truth. And sometimes the truth helps people to understand where the behavior comes from. Another thing that I want to highlight, several speakers talked about how Asian Americans try to avoid conflict, keep quiet, or stay neutral. And from the outside, that can look like they don't care. It can look like they are ignoring Black pain. It can look like they are choosing comfort over justice. But what these creators are explaining is that most of the time, this silence is not always because of hate. Sometimes it is because of fear, confusion, cultural habits, or pressure from their families. Again, this doesn't make silence okay. It just explains why some people act the way they do. And when people finally understand the reason behind the behavior, it finally becomes very easy to change it. Another point that I want to add is about the emotional connection between these two communities. This video made it clear that Black Americans and Asian Americans admire each other more than they admit. There is admiration for Black strength, admiration for Asian discipline, admiration for Black creativity, admiration for Asian resilience, admiration for Black culture, admiration for Asian heritage. But the system in America, the system built on white supremacy, keeps both sides stressed, pressured, and sometimes confused. And when people are stressed, they misunderstand each other. They avoid each other. They bump into each other instead of connecting. That is how tension starts. But when you remove that pressure, you see that these two communities have always had potential to support each other. And that is what this video showed, the potential. Another thing that I really liked about this video is how they talked about history. Not in a boring way, but in a way that makes you understand for how long this connection have existed. Asians and black activists have worked together in so many ways in the past history. But many schools in the USA don't teach that. People barely know that. So when these Asian Americans brought it up, it wasn't to brag. It was to remind people that unity is not something new. It has existed for many years. And I think the reminder is very useful for Black American community who always feel like every community is against them. And some Asian Americans still want to be allies today. Another part of the video that give it value is the conversation about colorism. Colorism affects so many cultures around the world. Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, Latin America. But the root always comes back to one thing: whiteness being placed at the top. That is why we see many people in the Caribbean, in Africa, using bleaching products. They're trying to get rid of their melanin so that they can look like white people. The reason is because whiteness was placed at the top and everybody thought that being white is the best thing that he can do for him or for herself. And this is very sad. When Asians say that they want to break that mentality, they're not just helping themselves, they are helping to stop one of the biggest sources of anti-blackness. Because once a community stops worshipping whiteness, they start loving themselves more. They stop bleaching their skins. And they also start respecting blackness more. And that changes everything. And here is the last thing that I want to emphasize on. Unity is not just love. Unity is effort. These Asian creators are showing that effort. They're not coming here to demand forgiveness. They're not pretending that everything is fixed. They are simply saying we want to do better. And for Black Americans who watch this, I think what is very important is not to take every person in this video as a whole community, but understanding that a growing number of Asian Americans are trying to break their old habits, challenge their families, correct misinformation, and stand up in a moment when it matters. Real unity doesn't happen in one day, but honesty is the first step. And this video was full of honesty. If more people continue speaking like this, maybe the next generation will grow up without the same wars that exist today. This is not the end of our conversation, but it's a beginning. Let's continue our conversation down there in the comment section. Let us know what you think about what those Asian Americans said. And if you have enjoyed watching the video, please make sure that you support us by clicking on that like button. Share this video to your friends who might be interested, and also remember that you should subscribe if you want to watch the next episode that will explain more about other topics. That was it, Mr. TA signing off. Ciao.